We had snow in Detroit this week, and while I was out there shoveling the driveway, something hit me. The same person who fires up a snowblower might also then drive to the gym to get their workout in. It's really a perfect snapshot of how our modern brains are operating. We've been wired to seek shortcuts, to do everything as fast as possible. And that's how we end up outsourcing the hard stuff and then paying money to simulate it. Shortcuts are not the enemy, but mindless shortcuts are. We have to rewire ourselves to embrace hard work, to take our time. It's absolutely necessary to get the best results. Today I'm going to walk through where it makes sense to optimize and when we need to just roll up our sleeves and do the real work of making amazing events. In the event industry, we're all facing the realities of lean teams, shorter timelines, and tighter budgets. And there are a bunch of tools that make it possible to do a lot of work in just one click. That results in clients who expect everything quickly, and so it becomes our instinct to try to move as fast as we can. We're thinking, what can we skip? What can we do faster? But the thing is that the work we skip up front ends up costing us way more time and money later. So we need to stop and analyze if skipping a step or optimizing a process is really actually the smart move. Efficiency has a place. It works when you apply it operationally. So things like automating follow-ups, using templates, cleaning up your CRM, standardizing budgets and timelines, removing unnecessary approvals. This is the type of efficiency that gives producers time back, time that they can reinvest into the work that actually determines the success of an event. The trouble starts when producers try to streamline the moments that actually create stability. Here are a few major pitfalls disguised as efficiency. Trusting the render instead of interrogating it. That does feel faster, but remember, renders cheat. They hide seams, rigging, structure, and lighting, and those shortcuts turn into budget explosions on install day. How about choosing a vendor because they're the first to respond? It may feel faster to go with the person who replies first, and sometimes that is an indicator of someone you can rely on, but make sure that they have the horsepower and the track record to back it up. Fast communication doesn't automatically equal reliable execution. How about skipping alignment with fabrication? We may do this to save time, but the time saved up front often becomes 3 weeks of revisions, overtime installs, additional freight costs, material substitutions that erode the quality of the experience. We don't want to avoid detail work just because it's tedious. Remember that the tedious work is usually what prevents disaster. Some work drains energy, and some work builds capability. In an experiential, the work that builds capability usually looks like calling your client instead of hiding behind an email, asking the uncomfortable scope questions, really digging into fabrication details, reviewing drawings until they're airtight, understanding the materials being used, load paths, traffic flow, and how your guests are going to behave, walking the site in person instead of making assumptions. That's huge. See, these aren't inefficiencies, they're investments. They build judgment, they build predictability, they build trust, and they build a reputation for delivering clean, stress-free execution. The real skill of a modern producer is knowing the difference between work that drains and work that builds. When teams blindly optimize everything, here's usually what follows: blown budgets, fire drills, scope creep, strained vendor relationships, client disappointment, burnout, margin erosion, and experience failure points that were completely avoidable. See, most event problems aren't caused by one big mistake. They're caused by dozens of tiny shortcuts that felt efficient in the moment. But here's the truth. Sometimes picking up the shovel is exactly what makes you stronger. Not everything should be automated. Not everything should be optimized. And not everything should be fast. Know what to streamline, but also know what to slow down for. Know what actually is worth doing the hard way. If you want deeper, unfiltered breakdowns of how experiential really works, the psychology, the logistics, the craft of it all, subscribe and stick around because there's a lot more to unpack.